Hey class, welcome back to week 2 of remote learning. First of all, I want to say thanks for everyone for getting on last week, following with the notes, doing all the activities that I asked you to do. That was great to see. And my hope is that as we're moving forward here in this process, that things will be a little bit easier for you guys as you get more accustomed to this style of learning. All right. So for week 2 here, everything you'll need for this week is going to be located in Schoology in the week 2 folder. All right. So in this week 2 folder is where you'll find everything you need for Schoology for this class this week. All right. Today we are going to be talking about multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. All right. So just like last week, all right, if you can print out these notes to follow along. Right. If you can't, just get out that binder and get out some loose leaf paper and kind of write down some of the example problems that I'm doing here so that you have those notes to reference for yourself later. All right. But before we start talking about multiplying a polynomial by a monomial, all right, I want you guys to do this little warm-up, these 4 questions. All right, so go ahead and pause the video here. Try these 4 problems on your own. All right, this is stuff that we've done in the past and we talked about. Just see what you get for these answers here. All right, I'm not looking for if you get these all right or all wrong. They're totally not graded. All right, just see what you can remember with these 4 types of problems here. All right, so now let's see what we get here. All right, so this first one, we had x plus another x, right? That gives us 2x. All right, so example 2 here, we have 2x squared plus 3x squared. All right, this is the same idea of combining like terms, right? We're just adding these 2x squared terms together, so we get 5x squared. All right, so both of these problems, when we're adding like terms, right, we did not touch the exponents. Okay, so now for 3 and 4, we're going to be multiplying these same exact terms. All right. If you recall from previous lessons, right, when we multiply terms, right, we add their little exponents. All right. So each one of these x's really have an exponent of 1. All right. So x to the first times another x to the first is going to be x to the second power, right? We're going to add those 2 little exponents together. All right, in example 4 here, we have 2x squared times 3x squared. Well, here, we're going to multiply our big numbers, or our coefficients, right? 2 times 3 gives me 6. And again, I'm going to add my little terms or my exponents up, right? So 2 plus 2 is 4. So this problem turns into 6x to the 4th. All right, so hopefully you got some of those. And like I said, if you did not, that's fine. That's okay. All right, we're going to talk about it some more right now. All right, so for this lesson, right, here are some of the key rules or details or concepts that we need to simplify polynomials and monomials. All right, the first one is this distributive property, which we've been using and seen all year, right? This is where we do that rainbow thing here and multiply everything on the inside by the thing that's on the outside. All right, and then the product rule of exponents, right? This is what we talked to prior to going on break here. This is where we multiply our big terms and we add up the little exponent terms, all right? And we can only add these up if my bases are the same, right? So x to some a power times x to some b power equals x to the a plus b power. All right, so now let's get some practice problems here. All right, so this first one, example 5 here, we're going to be multiplying x times x plus 4, right? So x is my monomial, and I'm going to multiply it by x plus 4. All right, so to do this, we're going to use that distributive property here. All right, and we're also going to be using that product rule of exponents. All right, so this turns into x times x plus, because that's a positive, x times 4. All right, so now we're going to ask to simplify this. So x times x, right, is either x to the first times another x to the first, which turns into x to the second power. And then a positive x times a positive 4 is just a positive 4x. And as we know from before, these terms cannot be added up because they are not like terms. So this is my simplified answer here, x to the second, or x squared plus 4x. All right, example 6 here, we have 2x times 3x minus 1. All right, again, same thing. We're going to start off by using this distributive property, which means we're going to have 2x times 3x right, and this 2x is positive, so we have that positive 2x times this 1 is a negative 1 here. All right, so now we're going to simplify this, right? Again, we're going to multiply our big numbers or our coefficients. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. And now I have an x to the first, right? Because there's a little bit invisible 1 here. X to the first times another x to the first is going to give us x to the second power. All right, and here we have a positive 2 times a negative 1. Well, positive times a negative is always going to be a negative, right? 2 times 1 is just 2. And then that x, I just dropped down because there's no other x terms for it to go with. All right, so this is our final simplified solution, is 6x squared minus 2x. All right, in example 7 here, we have 4x squared times 2x squared. Right, and then this 4x squared also has to be multiplied with that 3x, right? Again, this is a positive 4x squared times a positive 3x. All right, so now I'm going to use this product rule of exponents again, right, where I'm going to multiply my big numbers. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 2, that would give me 8, and then x to the second times another x to the second is going to be x to the 2 plus 2, or x to the fourth power. And then here as well, we have 2x squared times 3x. Right, again, I'm going to multiply my bigs. So 4 times 3 is 12. And I'm going to add my littles, right? Well, in this case, this is the x squared here, so I have 2 x's here. This is an x, right, or really x to the first power. So now it's 2 plus 1, or x to the third power. And at 8x to the fourth plus 12x third is all I can do with this because they are not like terms, so I cannot combine them. So that's my simplified answer there. All right, let's try a couple more here. All right, ooh, now we're getting a little more crazy here. We got a monomial times a 1, 2, 3 trinomial here. Okay, but guess what? We're going to follow the same process here, right? We're going to use our distributive property first. All right, we're going to take our 2x squared and we're going to multiply by 9x to the third power. All right, and then we're going to take that 2x squared and we're going to multiply it with that positive x squared. And we're going to take this 2x squared once again and multiply it with that negative 7. All right, so we have another positive 2x squared, this time times a minus 7 or a negative 7. All right, so now I'm going to simplify this out here, right? Again, I multiply my bigs. So 2 times 9 is 18, right? And I add my littles, or I add my little exponents here. So this comes x to the 2 plus 3, or x to the fifth power. All right, and then I got to do the same thing here. I got this 2x squared times another x squared. Well, my only big number is this positive 2. And then I have an x squared times another x squared. So I'm going to add up those two little exponents to get x to the fourth power. All right, and then my last pair of terms here that neither gets multiplied is this 2x squared with this negative 7. Well, 2 times a negative 7, right? A positive times a negative is a negative. And then 2 times 7 is 14. And then I just have an x to the second power. So this is my simplified answer. 18x to the fifth plus 2x to the fourth minus 14x to the second power. All right, why don't you pause this video and you guys try number 9 and then type in your answer on the Edpuzzle question here. And we will compare answers when we're done here. All right, let's see what you got here. So first things first, we're going to take this 5x to the third and we're going to multiply it with 4x to the third. Hopefully you did that as well. Now we're going to take this 5x to the third and we're going to multiply it with that 3x to the second power. And then we're going to take that 5x to the third and multiply it with that negative 2x. Oops, and I'm kind of running out of room here, so I'm going to have to write this below 5x to the third times a negative 2x. All right, so now I'm ready to simplify here, right? I got 5 times 4 gives me 20. X to the third times another x to the third. Well, I'm going to add up those little exponents, writing it x to the 6th power. And now I have a 5 times a 3, which gives me a positive 15. And I have x to the third times x to the second. Well, now I'm going to add up my little exponents. That becomes x to the 5th power. And finally, I have a positive 5 times a negative 2. That's going to give me a negative 10 here. And then an x to the third times another x to really the little first power is going to give me x to the 4th power. Awesome. So hopefully you got something close to that, if not the same exact answer. All right, and we have one more type of problem here. All right, we're going to do a little bit of geometry here, geometric application. All right, so we're going to find the area of this rectangle. All right, and area, or the area formula, is length times width. All right, so in example 10 here, I got my rectangle, and I got my one length here is 3x squared minus 1, and my other width here is 2x. Okay, so we're going to multiply those two things, right? We have a monomial, and we're going to multiply it with a polynomial. In this case, this polynomial is a binomial. All right, and again, we're going to start off by distributing here, right? 2x times 3x squared. And then a 2x times a negative 1. Well, 2 times 3 gives me 6. X times x squared, well, again, this is really x to the first, right? X to the first times x to the second is going to be x to the third power. And then we have a positive 2 times a negative 1. Well, positive 2 times negative 1 gives me a negative 2. And then an x is just an x. So I drop that down. And this is my simplified solution for the area of this rectangle. Awesome. All right. So now it's time for you to practice. You can work on practice sheet, practice 7.2 worksheet, and then submit that in Schoology when you're done.